Hey guys, my name is Matsumo, and today I want to talk about crouch and lean spamming in Rainbow Six Siege, because I feel like it's getting to the point where it's getting a bit ridiculous. You guys may have noticed that this tactic is becoming very popular this season. More and more people are bouncing up and down, leaning left and right, because they're trying to make themselves a harder target. In a game that's all about getting the one-shot headshot, if you're able to move that head all over the place, it of course is going to be very difficult for that person to land that headshot. And while I'm not trying to blame anyone for using this tactic, because it is a part of Rainbow Six Siege right now, it is a game mechanic, and to some extent there is a moderate amount of skill involved. It takes time and practice to be able to move around the map effectively while constantly crouching up and down, moving left and right with your head, and maintaining your accuracy. Like, there is some skill involved there, but I think the entire idea of everyone bouncing around and moving like this detracts from the overall experience of what Rainbow Six Siege is going for, and isn't the reason why I got involved with this game to begin with. One question that I've gotten a lot over the years is, why aren't you able to jump in Siege? Every other prominent FPS game out there allows you the ability to jump. Why can't you do it in Siege? Well, I have to guess it's because Ubisoft was going for a different kind of experience. They didn't want people to jump around corners and take you out. They didn't want you bunny hopping around the map so that you made yourself a harder target, or I'm assuming that's the reason why they did it. They wanted it to be more grounded in reality. And while I understand that it's definitely not the most realistic game out there, it's still got a lot of arcadey elements. At the end of the day, I have to believe that Ubisoft wanted this to be a more tactical, methodical experience, and not one where you're running around, jumping around, and trying to use the speed and momentum of your character to make yourself a really hard target to hit, and you actually have to use tactics and your gadgets to be successful. To give you another example of this, not too long ago, Ubisoft made changes to drop shotting. A very popular tactic back in the day was, as soon as you saw someone, was simply just to go prone to the ground. This made you a smaller target. You lost no accuracy whatsoever because you could continue to aim down sight with your weapon, but because the other person is retaliating, their weapon recoils up. The weapon usually blocks the fact that you're going down to the ground, and so they have a hard time lining up the shot and taking you out. It was very annoying to deal with. Thankfully, Ubisoft decided, yeah, that goes against the vision of what we wanted for Rainbow Six Siege, and they made some changes. Now drop shotting is nowhere near as viable, and it's now in a place where I feel like most people would say that it was a good change. And so I guess the argument that I'm trying to make here is that if they don't want jumping, they don't want drop shotting, this feels along those same lines. Having your player constantly, take a look at this. This blitz is rapid fire left and right. There is no way you're going to be able to reliably hit that shot. And while I know this is an extreme example, most situations you're not going to come across someone who is wiggling back this fast back and forth. Most of the time it's going to be very fast. But the thing about it though is that they only need that split second to be able to get the advantage. When they're going down towards the ground because they're crouching and then they lean left and right practically instantly, that gives them enough time to be able to line up the headshot against you and take you out. And so with all this being said, how could Ubisoft go about fixing this problem? Well, at least in my opinion, a great step in the right direction would just be to simply slow down the animation significantly. I don't think you need to have Blitz whipping back and forth this quickly. It just looks unnatural, and I think it has some pretty big game-breaking implications as well. And while I know that Blitz is an extreme example, normal operators don't move left and right this quickly, it's still way too fast, I think, for everyone else. And so if they were able to slow that down a little bit, it would be more of a conscious decision that you are leaning left and right. I'm not saying that leaning needs to be taken away from the game, like it's a core gameplay mechanic, it still needs to function relatively the same, but I don't think that people need to be able to crouch up and down and move left and right as fast, and it should be more of a conscious decision on the part of the player because they're trying to get that specific angle. Now, if they wanted to go a bit more extreme with it, and I don't necessarily know if I agree with this idea, but I have heard it bounce around a little bit online, is they could do something like Insurgency Sandstorm. In Sandstorm, if you lean to the left or the right, your character movement drops significantly, and imagine that this is so that you are meant to be holding angles while leaning and not maintaining that fast movement to make yourself a harder target. So that would be another solution. The final idea that I've heard is that they could just simply have a cooldown when crouching or leaning. Now, the reason why I definitely don't like this one, especially compared to the last, is that one thing I've always appreciated about Rainbow Six Siege is that you do feel like you're always in control over your character. If you're crouched behind a small wall, you then stand on up, you realize that 3 of the offensive team is directly in front of you. If you had this weird cooldown that didn't let you then crouch back down at that very moment, you get taken out, that's going to be really frustrating. And so while I do understand why people have made this suggestion to try to limit the amount of spam, I think that it goes against why a lot of people enjoy Rainbow Six Siege, which is that control. All in all, though, at least personally, I feel like at least something needs to be done. I realize not everyone is going to agree with this because some people like the current meta. They like this movement system because there actually is a skill involved. Once you master how to move around like this, you have an advantage against everyone else, and people like that. And I do understand that mentality, but I feel like it's starting to take away a part of why I really enjoy Rainbow Six Siege. And so I don't know if Ubisoft needs to go to the extreme where leaning left and right causes you to slow down your movement. I don't know if they need to go that far, but I think they do need to slow down those animations. But of course, that is just my 2 cents. But yeah, guys, that is about it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you thought about what we talked about in today's video. Do you think I'm making a mountain out of a molehill? How do you think that Ubisoft could go about solving this problem? Is it even a problem? I know that people are going to disagree with me. Give me guys' thoughts down below. Yep, until next time, have a good one and take it easy.